So I recently moved and I've been needing to rescape all of my tanks. The first one I wanted to work on was my 65 gallon, which holds my Blood Parrots, Polar Parrots, and Clown Loaches. Now I did the planning a bit differently, as I used a website that lets you plan out aquascapes digitally called Scape.io. I tried to document as much as I can of this journey for creating this aquascape, to share the whole process with everyone from planning all the way to creating the scape to showing how the fish are doing in it today. So now that we talked about the plan, I want to actually show you myself designing it. So like I said, I used a website called Scape.io. I did actually post a video last week showing a full review and a quick little tutorial on this website. So if you want to see that and do a deep dive onto this website, definitely check it out. But here's a quick time lapse of me just designing it on the website and what I came up with. So I ended up going with a 2-island kind of theme with a larger cave for my Blood Parrots and then a smaller cave on the other side for all the Clown Loaches and the smaller parrots. And then this allowed plants to go all around those and make a nice island look, and then the whole middle is open and even towards the front because the cave's in the very back, so it gave a lot of swimming room, kind of fit all the requirements that I wanted, and I also think looked pretty nice, at least from the design. Now once this design was complete, I went ahead and figured out where I want to get the plants from, the time to get them, and the actual day I want to scape them. I usually like to order the plants for them to come midweek and then scape on the weekend. That way there's as little time as them just holding out as possible before I actually plant them in the real tank. Now for the plants, I went to Boost Plant because they had everything in stock and I've had good experiences with them in the past. But you can get all of these from, I use only common plants, anubius and Java fern, so you can get these pretty much anywhere, including Amazon, or I'll put links down below in case you do want to check them out. And here is just me when I first got the plants, unboxing them real quick. So I pretty much unboxed them, kept them in the pots, but I did put them in water that was aerated, and I put a extra light I had also over that I ran for about 8 hours a day. Put some fertilizer in the water just to make them do it as best as possible until they were actually planted in the real tank. Now next, I also did, in the days before the scape, is I did as much prep work as I could. I find this really helps because on a scape, especially for a big scape on a tank like this, it takes a long time, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and the day will kind of just fly by. And I found that doing all this prep work helps a lot with the time on the actual day of doing the scape. So basically I had removed all the decorations before scape day from my 65 gallon, just had a bare bottom tank at this point. I washed all the plants and kept them in buckets, so I didn't have to worry about that on the actual day. And then lastly, I made sure I washed the sand. Real simply, just put it in 5-gallon buckets. Tried to split it up so there's not too much sand at once, and this in my bathtub, filled the buckets with water and kept filling them so it was overflowing, kept stirring up the sand, and it gets all the debris out. And this is a great way to not have a very dusty, sandy tank after you first scape the tank. So now we got to the day of doing the actual scape. So the first step here was to add the cereal stone. I know you can either put the substrate in first or put your hardscape in first. Because I do have Blood Parrots and Clown Loaches and they love to dig around, move substrate around. Definitely wanted to put the cereal stone in first so it could be solid on the ground and I didn't have to worry about them moving sand and then anything toppling over, which could be very disastrous. So I put the cereal stone first. I focused on the larger cave to the right island first and then did the smaller island second. And basically I just placed them in and just made sure the stones are very stable on top of each other. That's kind of how I do it. And once I can shake them around, nothing's going to happen, then I feel very comfortable with it. I usually fill in a small amount of rocks into cracks here and there as needed. And then next I added the sand. Now like I said, it was already pre-washed, and this saves a bunch of time because really to wash it well, you're going to end up spending probably 20 to 40 minutes washing the sand, depending how much you have. Now the final step of the scape was to add the plants. And so as you see, I did the Java ferns first in the background. I found the digital design I had helped a lot, as I was really able to put some in each area, and then with extras I had, I was really able to see which area needed most based on the design, and I was able to space my plants out very well compared to normally just using it, having the design in my head. Then I went and did the foreground anubius. Well, some was a little larger. I had anubius nana, and that was more for like the mid-ground, and then I had anubius nana petite for the foreground to fill it in. And so here's the scape after it was finally complete. Now, how I did add this fish safely is once the scape was done and was filled, I put the filter on, and this was a canister filter that was running fully for all these fish as of even that morning. So it was fully cycled, didn't have to worry about anything with that. And then I just turned it on and let the water filter through it for a few hours just to make sure if there was anything from creating the scape that I want to get out, it would be caught by a filter, and just the water would get cycled through nicely. I did add dechlorinator, so I do have an inline dechlorinator with some videos on that. So the water going in, I was pretty sure that it was fully dechlorinated. I did test it, but I just add dechlorinator just to double check, since I was doing almost a probably 95% water change on this tank. I also added quick start for beneficial bacteria, just since I did clear everything out of the tank just to give it a little boost for the filter. And then I also added some salt, just to start the tank up, make sure there's enough minerals. And then also, since the fish, were moving around that day, I did have a little stress to help them there. So I didn't do too much. I did about 1 tablespoon per 10 gallons. Along with that, I did test the water several times and used several kits before putting the fish in. And this was pretty much after I had been running the filter for 3 hours, just as a last test to make sure the parameters matched what it previously was, which I expected, because I always just use the same water. And I just wanted to make sure nothing weird happened, but everything was good. Made sure there was no chlorine, no ammonia. The pH was what I expected, and the hardness was what I expected. So here is the final scape. Been running for a few weeks. All the fish added healthy, all swimming around. You can see my larger blood parrot Reggie claimed his own cave. The Clown Loaches actually decided to take the side of his cave where there's a bunch of smaller rocks and live there instead of in the smaller caves that I gave them, but that's okay. But anyway, the scape turned out super good. Here is it compared to the actual digital scape I made, and it turned out very close. See, the rocks are a little different based on the size of the head, but it turned out to look very nice, and I found the actual website to help a ton with creating the scape and making it look as I had pictured, both in my head and then what I actually digitally made. And then now for how the scape is doing, it's doing very well. As I said, all the fish are doing good. There has been some plants that have been uprooted, but most are holding up very well. Some I have put back. I'm probably going to re-glue a few of them and then really try to anchor them down in the scape. But otherwise, probably 90% are holding up very well. They're doing very well. Really no browning or anything yet. So hoping to just keep with this maintenance schedule, and hopefully everything stays successful. I do know that stuff does get disrupted or dies off in the future. My plan is to kind of keep the hardscape and then slowly replant as needed, and try to let the scape evolve over a year or so. That wraps up this build video. I want to thank you for watching, especially if you stuck through to the end. If you're able to like the video and subscribe, it is a great help to my channel. I post aquarium content centered around education and technology, while sharing my own projects like this one. Anyway, I'll catch everyone in the next video.